Hello and welcome back to Rev Endurance Sports and another edition of what is in our stand today. Today we're going to disassemble the free hub body and axle assembly on a WCS Zeta wheel set from Ritchey. And full disclosure from a previous video as well, these wheels were sent to me as a demo product. And so I'm going to put them through their paces, as they say. And one of the things I like to do is, well, how easy or difficult is it to service these wheels? Obviously from a mechanic standpoint, but if I'm recommending these to my customer base, then I want to know what makes this wheel tick so that I can say to my customer, you know what? These are pretty easy to work on at home. You can do a few little things here and there, service the ratchet or the internals, and then maybe just leave the spoke replacement to me. All right, so that's what we're going to do with this wheel set. Now, couple of things that I like about certain wheel sets is if you can do things without proprietary tools, that's a plus. I mean, it's actually a win, not just a plus. So I like things that, like the bikes that I work on, like the bikes I recommend to my customers, there's no proprietary components on a Ritchey frame set. You have a 27-2 seat post, you have bearings that are available, headset bearings that are available, you have a threaded in bottom bracket, you have external cables and housing. So none of that stuff is proprietary. You don't need to if one of those things breaks, that you're reliant on that manufacturer. So in this case, this is what I like so far about this wheel set. So let's get some nomenclature out of the way first. This side here with the cassette body, that's normally called the drive side. Sometimes called the right side of the bike, but let's use proper nomenclature. This is the drive side, where all your drivetrain components are. Your cassette, your chain, your crankset, and your derailleurs. Drive side. This is your non-drive side. So I can get good purchase on this end cap here on the non-drive side. There's probably a manual. Sorry, Ritchey, I didn't look at it, but this is the way I like to do it. All right, so here we go. We have this cap here. Pull on that, and that comes off. And please set up your workstation so that everything that you remove, you have it laid out. And then when it's time to put it all back together, you go in the reverse order, right? Okay. So we've taken the cap off. Now we're going to take the dust cap off, okay? And as soon as you remove the dust cap, you're going to notice there's a bearing there. And then also, you're going to see, hopefully that'll focus in, the forged spoke head beds. And Tom Ritchey is very proud of doing his hubs this way because it, I'm sorry about the wheel, it will prevent the typical spoke breakage at the J-bend if you've got a good bed for the head of the spoke to seat inside of. All right, so then the next thing is you take off your other end cap, set that down, and now because this is under spring tension, all you have to do, push on this side, and notice how your ratchet drive is already exposed. All right, so now we start this disassembly. And take your free hub body off. I'm sorry, it's so hard to make sure that I wish I had a camera person. So you take your free hub body off, set that down. You have your ratchet drive. Oh, I'm guessing the spring is still, yeah, the other spring is still in there. All right, so we just pull that out. Then you have your ratchet drive, or your rings. Pull that out. And then there's a sleeve right there. Pull that off. And then as you pull this axle out, I mean, you can see it's specifically shaped in one way for it to go in and out, so you're not going to mess that up. And then your other spring, okay? So now if you really wanted to, you could take your axle, put it back in, feed it through your non-drive side hub bearing, okay? And then just give it a little tap with the heel of your palm, and there goes the bearing. It pops right out, okay? So with the heel of your palm, you were able to remove that bearing. So that's really nice. All right, so now we look inside here. The lighting is probably not fantastic. I apologize. But you'll see these teeth here. And you'll see that there. All right. Now, when it's time to put it all back together, it's very simple because you've already laid it out the way that it needs to go in. So I'm going to pause the video here and then show you how everything is laid out in case you're midstream into your job and you get interrupted. At least you'll have this to fall back on. All right, here are your internals laid out so that if you ever have any trouble figuring out how to put them back, how to put your free hub back together, then you'll have this as a record. There's your drive side cap, your axle, your sleeve, and your sleeve has a little shelf in there. Do you see that? So that's going to go over this little part here of the axle. So that shoulder, you got to make sure you put it in correctly. I don't think you can put it in incorrectly, but so there's your free hub. You've got a bushing inside there. So let me, see how that bushing is now not going to allow you to put the axle in. So you can just straighten that out with your finger or with the axle itself, but you just kind of straighten that out a little bit, and then you can put the axle through there. I can't reach it. Okay. Then you have your two springs, and just like on your quick release levers, the cones face in towards each other to create tension, spring tension on your ratchet rings. Now these, you can see that they're serrated. Let's see if I can get that to focus. Yeah, they're serrated, so they have to face each other. So there's no wrong way to put these in because there's only one correct way to put them in. The ratchets have to, or the serrations have to face each other. There's the other spring. There is your dust cap. There is the bearing that we removed that does not have to be removed, but I wanted to show you how easy it is to remove it. All right, so everything is laid out, and now we can do the assembly again. I like to start with the axle because everything kind of bolts or slides onto the axle. So I like to have the axle in first because then everything is just fill in the blanks after that. So put the axle in, and since we removed the non-drive side bearing, you just got to kind of guide it in, and you'll see you just start pressing it in and it starts to go in, right? Oops, see how it goes all the way through the other side? So that's how easy it is to get that guy in there. All right, next thing is your sleeve. And remember, it's got that little shoulder on there. So put that on there so that the shoulder is facing the non-drive side. I'm sorry, the drive side. All right, now we got that guy in there, and we need to start assembling the ratchet drive. So the cones face, the first one goes with the cone part facing the non-drive, sorry, I keep saying that, the drive side. Then you put your ratchet in. Then you put your other cone spring with the cone facing in. Then you put your free hub body on. And remember that inside there is that bushing, right? So you just got to get past that bushing. Push that on there. And then on the other side, you've got your bearing that if you want to, you didn't have to take it out, but I just wanted to show you how easy it was to take out. In this case, if you wanted to, you just need to find something. Now I've got a little bearing, wheels manufacturing bearing setup here, but you don't actually need that. Just set that guy on there kind of flat, right? And then all you have to do is just press it on there. I'm sorry, I keep getting out of shot. And then just got this guy, set that on there, and then just press that on there. I mean, it's just the palm of my hand. There's no press, there's no hammer, there's nothing. It just goes on there. Then you put your dust cap back on, put your end cap back on, and you want to listen for a click. There it is. And then on the other end, you'll see that there's spring tension on that drive. So you just got to let it kind of find its home, right? And then put your other cap on, and you should hear another click. Let's get this guy in there. Let me switch hands so it's a little easier to see. Maybe that's easier for you guys to see. And then you pop that on there and it just goes snap, right? And then obviously test it before you put everything back together on your bike. So there you go. That's how to take the free hub body axle assembly out of your WCS wheel set. Very, very simple. If you don't have a bearing press like this, don't take the bearing out. But I mean, you saw that it was just with my hand. So you could find anything that has a hole like that, which will, you know, fit over the axle, and just do a little bit of a heel press, the heel of your hand press, and you'll be fine. Okay, so I like that about this wheel set. Just super simple stuff. Now, if you notice, they're very, very similar to DT Swiss internals, but they are not DT Swiss. They've been modified to fit the Ritchey hub. So it's a very DT Swiss-ish, but not. And so you'll have to get the internals from Ritchey. But other than that, if you have worked on a DT Swiss setup, this will be very familiar to you. Okay, that is all for today. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you up the road.